Hi, and welcome to another video from KOJRO Retro Innovations. And this time it will be a bit of a different video. I just finished Christmas calendar series, and a lot of people asked me about the scope I was using during this. And it's this scope here from a company called ZEEWII or something, and it's the DSO2512G scope. So I was thinking I just do a quick review of this, even though I don't normally do reviews. I think this actually was quite a useful tool. So just start with a short introduction of the thing. This is just going to show you that this item is still on sale, even though my is more than 1 year ago, my purchase of this. And they do have this up on the web page, and this is just a random page from AliExpress. It's available from AliExpress, some local shops here in Norway even, and some I don't know if they have it in stock, everyone of course, but this was on the first pages that come up. I don't remember which shop I bought it from, but it probably was a site just like this. And I'm not going to show you what they offer this up for, but it seems like a pretty good deal, even though I think it's about the same price I paid last year. And they say that this scope has 120 megahertz bandwidth, and of course that can be true, but with only 500 megasamples, it's not a very good accuracy anyway, and I do think that is just with one channel. And this also has some specifications listed up here. Basic R&D, and of course that can be done. Car repair, of course. Home appliance repair, of course. Power supply, of course. Sound fever, I don't even know what that is. Inverter, yeah, it's electronics like everything else. 220 volt mains. I would be a bit careful about that, but as this scope is fully insulated, if you run this on batteries, you can connect it to 220 volt without doing having any issues with the earth connection or ground connection. So it's not a bad way to do 220 volt mains, but it's barely within the limitations. And if you put your scope probe on just 1x, it's stated that the maximum voltage should be 40 volts, so I'm not totally sure. And it supports 1 to 100 probes, and then of course 220 mains will be well within, but otherwise it's just 40 volt or 400 volt, and 400 volt peak to peak is not enough for 220 volt mains. So with 100 to 1 probe, that is actually an option. And you have a signal generator. We will study this in some just small detail. And it has the XY mode. We are not going to go into that. And all the other things with how much division each line and the time sweep and so on, we are not going to look into in detail. It is what it is. But the video output we are going to check out, because that will be a feature that is valuable when I'm going to do this to record repair videos. And this is also somewhat what my kit come with, I think. It was 2 probes, it was this charger cable, and it was the video cable, and it was this other cable. Even though this signal cable, the red and black one in the bottom, was not already made, but we are going to look into that. And the basic features here is just what's stated earlier. Single trigger, of course. Cursor measurements, that you can do. And you also have some ready-made measurements that is already displayed on your screen, and you can turn some of them off to make better use of the screen. And you can turn on more features. And you do have a very simple fast Fourier transform spectrum analyzing on signals. I have not looked into that. It's not something that I normally use in fault finding. Yeah, and it's just list again what you are going to get in your deal. So this is still available. A lot of companies say they have this in stock. And as I'm in no way affiliated with some sellers of this, I'm not going to show you the address of this dealer or whatever. In my December series, I did some yeah, some clips when I used this this scope. And this is the DSO2512G scope from something that's called ZEEWII something. And this is something I bought well over a year ago, and I thought I was going to give you a better review of this and what I think for my use cases. And that's not something I normally do. I don't do user reviews, and I am not in any way affiliated with these people here. I have bought for this with my own money, and I'm going to see the features that I'm going to use, if they are useful for me or not. My first impression is that the viewing capability of this, if I keep it in the corner when I'm doing filming, it's good enough, and it gives me quite the quick and good idea if a waveform is working or not. But this is only been used so far on very low frequency applications, and if I do PC work and stuff, you have to use something that really can handle, at least well above, let's say you have to handle signals up to 20 megahertz for what we are going to cover mostly on this channel. But first I was going to look into the signal generator functionality of this. I do have my UTG 2025A from Unity, and it works quite good, and it's what's actually covered this down here. This is my counter, still counting from the last time we visited, and it's now counting with a very low frequency. It's let's see, 1 Hz signal that's coming into this, and I'm going to increase this to 50 Hertz. And this is going to be something that's impossible to watch with a multimeter or other stuff to see how you do. So we are going to use this, and I'm also going to try to swap the signal generator with the one inside here. Yeah, I just switched off my signal generator. It makes a lot of noise. Inside the box there is this little sheet of paper with a QR code that should tell you how to mount these leads, and I actually went through this and saw what they had to say, and they want me just to crimp this, and this is just a hollow cylinder with something that looks like, I'm not sure what it looks like, very thin hollow tube. And if you are going to crimp this, you won't get very much contact. When you do crimping, you kind of expect the wires to be so hard crimped that you won't get any oxygen to oxidize this in between. So I do think I will try to do some soldering on these. And these are the tin plugs that is going in here to connect the signal leads from the generator. So I think I'm going to try to solder this in place. And by the way, this is my old soldering vise that I've made when I was about 12 or I was pushing 13, I'm not sure. But this has been with me all the years, and I'm using this when I'm soldering. And the hard wood here is really good to use on soldering because it doesn't lead away any heat. There also was this heating tube that was included in the package. I'm just now going to try to solder this and see what actually happens. I think that went alright. I do have a little nubbin of solder here on the outside. I might have to grind that off. like so, and then I thread the heat shrink tube over this like so, and I'm just trying to heat this without transferring too much heat. I could of course use my rework station for this, for the heat, but this will be good enough. And that was the black one, and I'm just going to do the same with the other. And place like so, dismantling like so, and just thinning the wire like so, thinning the plug like so, and like so. And also here I got a bit on the side. Yeah, and now this should be ready. And here I have pushed the F1 button for the signal generator, and it's standing at 1 kHz. And if I try to, I will attach a probe first. Like so. And I'm just going to attach these down here. I don't need the earth one, I suppose, since this will already be earthed internal, I hope. And I have 1 kHz. And just OK on that. And I can hit the auto. And it does not show me anything if I connect the grounds. So there I have the 50% duty cycle, 1 kHz, and it's off. How do I turn this on? There has to be another button to turn this on. It should be the run stop. It's on. And there I do have it. It has 2 port 45 amplitude from top to bottom. And it's drifting a bit, 1 kHz, 999 Hz. If this is the scope or if it's the signal generator, it's hard to say. And I do measure this. If I take and check the input, it says that the maximum is 2 port 45 and the minimum is minus 39 volt. And that probably means that this is coupled to ground, and it's now stated here that this is a DC input. If I try to AC, it was some shift, the AC-DC coupling. I'm not sure how. This is AC coupled, and now you can see that this is actually swinging. Yeah, it's max 1.24. This is quite a strange reading because now it has no minimum value on the scope. I push OK to have it centered, and then it measures the minus. Otherwise, if you didn't have it centered, it didn't measure the minus. So I do think on this scope the auto function will be used a lot, but now we can see the signal is swinging between minus and plus, and the AC function is that you really put a capacitor in between to check what's going on. And we can actually test this by using the DC connection like so, and we just take a small capacitor and put it in between. I'm not sure how big this is, maybe 100 nano. It was just one that was on my bench, and they often tend to be 100 nanos. And now you have DC coupled this, and it's swinging between ground. So the signal does have an offset normally. If I remove this capacitor like so, you can see that it's swinging from the ground line. So this generator actually takes the signal from the ground level up. So this is usable to feed TTL logic. We can do a test on this. And you also can select the waveforms. And I wonder if this is done through this menu here. This was... duty cycle. No, the square wave has to be another menu option. It's actually the voltage, mini voltage, that is used to switch the waveform, and it has a triangle, it has a sawtooth, and it has the rectified sinus, and this is double rectified sinus, and this is just a pulse train with the harmonics, overswing like so, and you have noise, and you have the sinus again, and this is the normal pulse train, and we are going to just use that. And now we are connecting without the capacitor. Let's take this and swing it like so, and now it's 2 port 45 volt, and that is just about enough to drive a TTL circuit on high, but we can try that. And I'm going to put this into a lower, yeah, let's say that we have hertz. I wonder if I can choose that from this here. No, it was blue, so I was thinking that I could change this from this. And here it is, hertz. Yeah, it's 2.3 hertz. It doesn't matter much how low it will be. And I'm just going to connect this up to my counter circuit that I've been hiding away outside of the picture here, and this is where we connect our existing signal generator, and this is where we are going to connect this. And I need a ground connection. I will need a wire for that, and maybe just hook it up like so. Oh, no, there is some bad, there is one segment that is not lighting up. It's probably some loose wires here, but it's not the fault of the regulator. Okay, there everyone is lighting up. Yeah, like so. And if I'm going to hit this again with say changing right away when I'm doing here, it's now okay. Now it's at 10 hertz. Yeah, so this signal generator could have been used, and what we can do to make this signal even higher, if I'm going to look at this signal now with, yeah, I have to, yeah, I'm just connecting it here. Yeah, it's now showing that we have 10 hertz and 2.47 volt maximum. And if I'm going to increase this to, yeah, let's say that we have 110 hertz. And we just take the time base and extend like so, and we can also extend the signal like so, so it's easier to watch. And as we did in the TTL world, if I was going to increase this signal and make it higher, I can just put this through a gate to make the signal higher. And if I just put this through a 7414, that will just do what we set out to do. But that was not the topic of today. It was this scope and to see if it could be used. And we also have one other feature of this scope, and that is that there is a special lead connection that can connect this to analog video, so that we can get these outputs on another device. We are going to test that now. I have to connect this scope probe. Let's connect this one here. That's the input. Just keep it from falling like so. And you have it like so, and I'm going to see if I can get this out on my video monitor. And there was some, you have to go to menu, and it was set, and you should have a long run stop. Oh, and there you can actually see the display is quite the same as on the scope. If I track out of menu now, and if I take auto, okay. This is quite handy, and maybe this will work with my capturing device that I use to connect composite video to my C64. I will explore this some more. This looks kind of okay on my my old digital TV monitor from LG. I'm just hand filming this now with my iPhone. And I'm also going to connect the other scope probe. I've already set up the scope for dual channel. And what I'm looking here is the input signal to the counter. And I'm also going to check out the other ones. And I do have them here. If I'm going to connect this like so, I do have a possibility, I think, to crank this in between here, and we have to set the trigger up for the other channel. Not even then it was good enough. Maybe the trigger level. No, it was the you have to push this and like so, trigger on the second channel, and there you can see the output from the after the counter for this display. And I'm going to check the one that is furthest away. It's going to be this one. And if I then take auto, yeah, so if I decrease the time base here, will be a bit difficult to sync. Yeah, but I think this will do quite good. And you also can use the single shot option to just take a picture like so. And oh, it's this to get auto again, and I can of course change this, but this looks quite good. So and now I'm taking this with a kind of low frequency. I'm going to increase the frequency quite a bit, and you go into the signal generator, and we do say that we should have this one here as 0, and this one here like 1, and then I'm going to go over here and say that this is 1 megahertz, and okay. Now you won't be able to see the lights are blinking, but the pulses should be about the same. And take the time base. Yeah, you do have some small glitches. It can be the generator, it can be all the noise that we are introducing here. And I also can take this and connect this to the signal like here. Yeah, this actually is quite good. And what we are seeing now is of course the counting on each segment, where you should have 4 counts in between this. And what edge and what level this is triggered on, I don't really care. But if we look at this, yeah, I have to find some JLO's thing to point with. If you look at this, we can count 1, 2, 3, 4 of these spikes is in between here. So this is the counter, and I can take and count. This is the most significant bit. If I take the red one, that should be the third, and I can take the green, that should be the then we can see each other count. So I think this scope will do perfectly well to all my digital needs, and this is 1 MHz. Now we are being a bit on the sketchy side with this, but the counter is still working on 1 MHz. Should we dare to try it on 2? 2 is the maximum, I think, for square waves on this. And yeah, the counter is still operating as it should. It's better if I take the 2 othermost levels on this, and that will be the yellow one, and the yellow one is down there, and then I have the orange one is the one that is furthest away, like so. And an auto on that. No, this is I was thinking it's the green one. We are already established that, like so. Yeah, and we do have some trouble with the triggering. It's not unusual, and we are not going to count it up against the scope because this is edge triggered like so. But here we get a stable picture, and now we are running at 2 MHz, but 2 MHz was the maximum for the square wave. The sine wave did have another high value. So what happens if I say that we are going to go into this counter, and I do think it was, no, it was not that one, it was millivolt and volt gauge to change the I have to take this and make it megahertz again, and 2 MHz like so, and I go into this again and I say that I'm going to change this to a sine wave, because the sine wave you can have higher frequency, and I'm going to trigger this with just 4 MHz. And you can see that there is a lot of noise in here, and of course that is. But now I'm going to check the input. The input should be a sine wave. And like so. But you can still see that it's counting with the sine wave input, and that is what we saw earlier. Even though you didn't have a square wave input, this is actually triggered so that it will switch between somewhere in between the legal and the illegal area. So this scope will be quite useful, and I might do another review where I test this on an analog circuit. But for now, I will say that this is more than adequate for my needs, and that it was able to output the signal in video. It's actually an added bonus. And even though, of course, it could be a better signal, this is more than adequate for my needs, I think. And as long as you're not going to measure distortion or something, and overrings and something on analog devices, I think that this will be good enough to measure, most of what I'm doing here. I'm by no means going into these levels of accuracy, at least what I'm doing here on the bench, maybe on some repair work, but not otherwise. Yeah, and that's it for a short walkthrough. And is this good enough to be my only scope? Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I'm an old guy, and I learned this back in the day when the scope was analog. And when I do audio and look at sound stuff, I kind of prefer an analog scope. Even my Ritual that stands up on the shelf behind me, I'm not totally comfortable with that, with doing analog stuff. But for the digital use that we had in the Christmas calendar series, and what I can show on the counter, and I will be using this in some of my upcoming videos where we do some fault finding on some Commodore equipment, I think. And then we're going to see if this is something I will recommend for the hobby use. And I also recommend you to check out my Christmas calendar series with I think the title was we watched the world through the scope, and where we used this for the first time. And I do think this is kind of a good tool. Would I recommend it? Yes, absolutely. It costs next to nothing in accordance to what scope has used to cost historically, and it actually does a good work, and that the signal generator does not use one of the channels as output, so that you have both channels when you have the signal generator is a good solution. But the signal generator is not impedance regulated, so it won't fit if you're used to using 50 ohm outputs and stuff. But all in all, it's good, and I will actually test this also with connecting it to an analog simple amplifier and stuff. If you're interested, I can do that as a kind of a side review. But that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again. Will this be my last video this year? Probably, but maybe I will be working on some Commodore stuff later this week. So, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in my next one.